Get higher, baby. Get higher, baby. Get higher, girl. Hey.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Knights of the Pageless Library. This is a podcast where we review audiobooks. I am Bo Knight, and with me, as always, is Ryan Knight. And today we are taking a look at Darkly Dreaming Dexter, written by Jeff Lindsey and narrated by, who's it narrated by again?
So this is where it gets a little weird.
That's
So
what
for
I- yeah,
anybody
let's get-
for anybody who looks this up right now on Audible, you will most likely get Darkly Dreaming Dexter, written by Jeff Lindsey and narrated by Jeff Lindsey. However, we downloaded our copy of Darkly Dreaming Dexter like 10 years ago or more, and the first like 3 books in the series of Dexter are actually narrated by Nick Landrum.
Right. And so they like retconned it and they like went back and Jeff Lindsey narrates them all now, and you actually can't even get the version that we listened to.
Right. So this is the first kind of little bit of a weird point in our podcast with this type of stuff because, so we're going to actually be talking about a version that nobody else might actually be able to listen to. So just bear that in mind as we talk about this.
Very useful review here.
Right. Well, I think it is kind of useful for the sole reason when we first started listening to Dexter, like I said, this book came out. What year did this book come out, Bo? 2005.
Yeah.
And then the audio came out in like 2012, it looks like.
That's the updated version, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the version that we had is older than that. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it's probably about 10 years old.
Yeah.
So sorry, my power is flickering in my house. So hopefully my power doesn't go out while we're doing this. Don't worry, I have the backup power.
Yeah, true. For how long?
Anyways, I think this is kind of important though, because when we first started listening to these books, like I said, this is a long series of books. And I think it was the first 3 or 4 books was narrated by Nick Landrum, and then it switched to Jeff Lindsey. He started narrating his own books. And then, like Bo said, now they've gone back and redone all of the books where Jeff Lindsey is the only narrator, and that's the only version you apparently can find on the internet. And I actually have a huge problem with that.
Me too.
Okay, I'm glad I'm not alone.
We'll get into it a little more, I think.
Okay, that's fair. So, let's see here.
I don't really know, because nobody can get the one that we listen to. But I mean, if you want to go get Darkly Dreaming Dexter right now, it's available on Audible, obviously.
Right, and that is where we listen to ours. We didn't listen to it somewhere else. It is on my Audible app on my phone. I just still have our Audible library that is older than this version that's available, which I'm surprised it didn't like retcon the one that we have and change it.
Yeah, me too.
But if anybody would like to talk to us about that and complain to us about that, you could email us at kotpl.pod@gmail.com. That'd be very helpful for us. Or if anybody wants to tell us why it happened or what their thoughts were on that.
Yeah, or if you wanted to tell us a recipe or something. I don't know. Just email us.
Good point. All right, moving on. So like I said, this book was written in 2005 by Jeff Lindsey. And then it was updated in 2012 on Audible. I'm not actually positive when the version that we have came out on Audible. I want to say it came out probably around 2005 because I remember listening to this in high school. So
me too. I remember this being like one of the first audiobooks I listened to on Audible.
Right. Yeah, same here. So like I said, Jeff Lindsey is the writer and the narrator. So Jeff Lindsey is pretty much known for the Dexter series, in my opinion.
Yeah.
This is kind of his bread and butter series that he's done. It has a lot of books in it. Like, I think 8 books in total in the series, so it's a lot of books. But I would say Jeff Lindsey is mostly known for these sort of like mystery kind of fiction mystery novels.
Yeah, he's like a crime, like stories, stuff like that.
Right. And speaking of that, so Dexter, Darkly Dreaming Dexter, is, I'm going to keep calling it Dexter, but Dexter is like the name of the series. The book is Darkly Dreaming Dexter. This book is like a mystery, sort of psychological fiction in which Dexter, the main character, he's a serial killer, but who actually kills other serial killers. So it's a very kind of unique take on the genre, in my opinion.
Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I want to talk about the narrator.
Yeah, so Nick Landrum, obviously being the narrator.
Nick Landrum. How do you feel about how he does in this?
I actually really, really like the way that Nick Landrum reads.
Oh, dude, it's a masterclass. He's another one that's just insanely good.
Yeah, I'm glad that you feel the same way, because I would have had to argue with you otherwise.
No, dude, I wouldn't. What am I supposed to argue about here? Yeah, like, and it's a shame that Jeff Lindsey took over, because like his performance is amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really know what was going through Jeff Lindsey's head. Like, I understand if he wanted to narrate the later ones, that's great, and I thought he did fine in the later books. But yeah, I thought Nick Landrum, basically Nick Landrum's voice is exactly how I would picture Dexter to sound.
Oh, dude, like, he nails it. He nails like the tone and like the icy like calculating brain that Dexter has. He just like nails it. And every single character, he gives them such a unique voice.
Yes, see, and I think that's important to note, because he does a great job about changing his voice per character. I agree with that 100%.
He changes it like when he talks about like Huerta, you know, and like how she like inflects certain things with Cuban accents. He does the same thing when he talks as her.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
A great job.
It's so good. Yeah. It's amazing, and it's a shame that nobody else will be able to hear the version that we heard.
I agree, and that it is very kind of upsetting to me that it's like taken down. I'm gonna do a quick search here if this lets me. So it does look like Nick Landrum still has quite a few books up on Audible that he has narrated. It actually looks like 62 in total. So he has done a lot of narration on Audible. So if anybody wanted to just hear Nick Landrum narrate, there's plenty of options for that. Yeah. So, but yes, I agree. An amazing narrator, and I think that this is already a really good story, so I think he just adds even more to it as a narrator.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's so good. So good.
So this book is not just shy of 8 hours long, so it's a pretty good listen. I mean, it's not super long, but
no, I think it's about as long as it needs to be.
Right, exactly. I think I agree, actually. The story is very well contained within the 8 hours. So, and I'm not seeing a price. Are you seeing a price?
For this one, I'm seeing $20.
Okay.
For this version of Dexter.
Okay. I mean, for the length, that's probably not it's a little high, I think, for the length.
And especially like a lot of the appeal to me of this book is Jeff Landrum. So
Nick Landrum, yeah.
Nick Landrum, not Jeff Landrum. I'm just Jeff Lindsey, Nick Landrum, all over the place. Yeah.
But I agree. I mean, it's right. So just everybody needs to bear that in mind, that we're talking about the Nick Landrum version. So if you get the Jeff Lindsey version for $20, your mileage might vary compared to ours. So
yeah.
So what do you think story-wise? How do you feel about this one as far as is this easy to follow?
Not necessarily. I don't think it's like easy. Like you could be doing something else, but like if you're not truly like engaged, I think you will miss things. Because just like the jumping back and forth between like Dexter's like what he's thinking and like what he's doing is kind of hard to follow sometimes if you're not paying a close enough attention.
Right. I agree. I think that if you miss like maybe if you miss like a sentence or two, you're not gonna miss like you're not gonna be completely lost because this book is oozing with detail. So if you miss a little bit of detail, like in terms of description stuff, you'll be okay. However, I think if you miss a paragraph, you're gonna be confused.
Yeah, pretty often.
So this one I think is worth the effort to stay focused while you're listening to this one.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I mean, and I think this one is the story itself, like we just said. So if you miss some stuff, it might be kind of hard to follow. However, if you're listening to it start to finish, this is not a hard story to follow. This is actually a very good one for maybe like somebody getting used to audiobooks or getting used to listening to audiobooks. Because I think it's very, if you pay attention while you're listening to it, you're going to understand the story start to finish. There are no like, there are maybe some twists and turns, but none that you're going to like be like, whoa, wait, what? I don't understand. So,
yeah. So, would you recommend at least the version that we listened to? Like, I don't even know how I feel about that, actually, recommending this. Because nobody can get it.
That's true. However, I mean, if it wasn't apparent, obviously, yes, I am definitely recommending the Nick Landrum version.
Yeah.
However, in all fairness, this story is really good too. So
right. I mean, there's a reason they made a freaking HBO show out of it, and kind
Showtime,
of butchered.
but yes,
Showtime. Oh, you're right. It's not HBO. It's Showtime.
Oh no, not kind of butchered.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they absolutely duct taped it to a table and killed it.
Yeah, because they took a ton of creative type liberties on the show, which I've only seen a little bit of the show because I refuse to watch
most
it.
of it.
Have you?
I watched the show first.
I will actually say that Michael C. Hall, the guy who plays Dexter in the show, they couldn't have picked a better person to play him in the show. I mean,
perfect.
Right. He is exactly like when you listen to this book, Michael C. Hall in the show Dexter is exactly who I would picture. Like he's perfect for the role. So like with that's kind of where I'm at though, is I think that this story is worth it enough that I would probably still recommend it even with the Jeff Lindsey narration.
It's just a shame that you can't listen to the version that we listen to. It really is, in my opinion.
It is. I mean, and it is very unfortunate.
Because the story is good, but like it's it's like the difference from like a C+ to like an A+. The narrator's difference, like it's yeah, I don't know. I didn't even realize before we started this that you couldn't get the version that we listened to.
Yeah, I started thinking about that because, like I told you, like I knew that had happened. Where that you can't really get the version that we have anymore, and I just think it sucks. Like it's too bad.
Absolutely suck.
So
yeah,
with that, would you still recommend it, even though?
Yeah, I would recommend it, but not as strongly.
Okay, that's fair. So yeah, with that, that's all of the main stuff we want to get out of the way. So now we're going to just talk about the story a little bit. We'll get past the spoiler wall. So if you haven't heard it and you want to listen to it, go get it right now. Listen to it. Come back and hear what we have to say about the story. So you've been warned.
You've been super warned.
Oh, my children are in here. Hang on. Go ahead and talk, Bo.
So yeah, Dexter, like Ryan has already said, it's like a first-person story, basically from the beginning to end. You get you're seeing through Dexter's eyes, you're hearing what he's thinking, and as Ryan has said, he's a blood spatter analyst for the Miami PD, but he has like a dark passenger that rides around with him, and he has like this dark side. Like he's like basically like an empty, hollow person, and he just pretends to be normal. And he kills other serial killers, and like the book kind of opens really strongly. I think like with him when he's killing that father in the beginning. I think it opens so strong.
One of the best openings to a book. Yeah, could not have had a stronger hook in my opinion. So good.
It is super good. Yeah. So
basically it opens.
Go ahead.
It opens with Dexter. You get this very quick glimpse into like Dexter's like watching this priest as he's like coming out of this building, and he's like talking to some young girl, and basically Dexter's just talking to himself in his head the whole time. And he's about ready to, well, we don't really know what he's going to do, to be honest, but he says it's almost the right time, and then he says no. But wait, something in the back of his head tells him, no, it's not right. And somebody else like comes out who would have seen Dexter grab this priest. So what's very interesting is this almost has like a little bit of a supernatural feel to it.
It does.
In a sense that like Dexter's dark passenger, which we only hear that a few times in the book, but that's what we'll kind of refer to it as because it's easier. It basically gives him like a sixth sense. He just has very like heightened awareness of a lot of things when his dark passenger is kind of with him, which we find out mostly is around the full moon, is like when his dark passenger thrives.
Right.
So Dexter grabs this priest. I take that back. The priest gets into the car that Dexter's already sitting in the back of, and Dexter sits up and pulls his fishing line tight around the priest's neck and basically tells him to drive. He tells him where to go.
Yeah, and I love that he talks about like, because he makes him go to like a specific place, and he's like, the priest is like getting uneasy as he's like making him drive to the specific place.
Right. And it's funny too because they like pull up, and so you're like, basically because Dexter's like this, they pull up to an abandoned house, and Dexter's like, but it looks like the ground has been disturbed recently.
Yeah.
And so you're like, well, what the hell does that mean? Well, then they go inside, and Dexter has the whole place like he has like this operating table basically. Sorry.
It's okay. So yeah, like as Ryan was saying, he has like an operating table. He basically has like a clean room. So he has like plastic up everywhere. He has like an operating table, and he has like a bunch of bodies on the ground that like the father he'd been taking these kids and killing them. And so like basically what Dexter's doing, he's like taking justice into his own hands because the law was unable to touch him, and so he's killing the priest to get rid of him, right? And he's like disgusted by the fact that he would do it to kids.
Right, because Dexter basically says too in this little first snippet that he enjoys killing people, but he would never do it to a child. He could never kill a child. And then towards the end of him, so when Dexter kills someone too, he doesn't just like stab them or cut their throat.
Oh, hello? Did I lose you? Uh-oh. We are apparently experiencing technical difficulties, but I think what Ryan was going to say is, yeah, Dexter doesn't kill these people fast. He like slowly dismembers them like piece by piece while they're still alive, and he's like savoring
basically.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ryan, you cut out there for a minute.
Yeah, we're having like a super bad thunderstorm here right now, so who knows what my
We
internet
might need
will
to
do.
speed this up a little bit.
Okay. You talk. I'll listen for a little bit.
So like as Ryan was saying, like Dexter, he doesn't kill these people fast. He like takes them apart like piece by piece and like really savors killing them. And so yeah, he kills this priest, and then he always, when he kills somebody, he takes like one drop of their blood and puts it on a slide, and so he can like remember killing them. And so yeah, the book opens on that, and then like from there we kind of like go through like Dexter's normal life. You know, he has like a sister like Deborah that he's like kind of close with. I mean, she's close to him because he doesn't really care. I mean, he kind of does. It's hard to explain because he doesn't really have like human emotions. He's kind of
Right. He's always saying he's empty inside.
yeah.
But so what starts happening kind of around the city of Miami is like these other killings start happening. But they're killings that like kind of resemble like what Dexter does, because like we said, Dexter like dissects people, and all these killings start happening where the bodies are like cut up and there's no blood, which is weird because Dexter hates blood.
Yeah. Right. And blood, but he's almost immediately intrigued. He's like, how did he do this? Or she.
So we get this like, oh, now there's another killer. But then a little bit later in the story, one of the killings happens at the hockey rink.
Right.
And they catch the killer on video.
I mean, you skipped like 12 things, but that's you're fine. Keep going.
Well, I don't want my internet to cut out.
Yeah, you're
I skipped a lot. Going. No. Back up. Talk about it a little more. Your internet's doing good. Just talk about it some more. I don't want to skip too much.
Well, so this killer is kind of like, he's like, Dexter's like basically like kind of like enthralled with this, and his sister Deb, she's trying to get on homicide. She's on like Vice right now, so she's like supposed to be pretty attractive, so she's like a hooker bait. She's like hooker bait, and so she's always like in her little tube top and like little short skirts and high heels and stuff, which I always find funny.
Right.
And so Dexter's like helping her out like through the story, kind of like figuring it out. Right, because he kind of has like this weird intuition, and he starts having these dreams.
Right. Yeah.
He starts having these dreams before the killings happen. He like knows what's gonna happen. Like he knows like, oh, the next time there's gonna be 3 victims, and he tells like Deb before it happens that there's gonna be 3 next time, and he's right. And he like kind of keeps getting it right.
Or he talks to himself and he says something like, "Oh, it needs to be cold," and then he's like, "Cold? Wait, where did that come from?" Like he's having this conversation in his own head, like. But yeah, he has all these like kind of premonitions about the next killing.
And then like after a couple killings happen, Dexter goes home, and he like immediately comes in, and I love this. He's like, I knew something was wrong. And he says, what did he say? He's like, my lazy boy didn't feel quite lazy enough, or something like that. Like he could just tell. And I love that line.
Right.
Yeah,
he knew something was off.
And he finds a Barbie doll with a mirror. Is it in his freezer, right?
Well, there's a Barbie doll head taped to his refrigerator.
Right.
Which, did we skip the part where the head gets thrown at him? I think we did.
Yeah, probably. I'm doing it kind of chopped up.
Yeah. No, I feel like we're being rushed now, fighting the weather and my internet.
Anyway, so there's a lot of back and forth with this killer, which is really good, and a lot of like Dexter having premonitions, and there's a Lieutenant LaGuerta who's like this. She's like a moron, but she's like in charge, and so like Dexter's like purposely feeding her wrong information to basically so people don't have faith in her, which I like, and she's super attracted to Dexter because apparently he's beautiful.
Yeah, which he doesn't understand. He doesn't understand human emotions, basically, is like how he describes it. He doesn't get it.
Yeah.
He also, at one point, though, Dexter, so that part I was kind of talking about, where they end up, like, one of the killings happens at the hockey rink.
isn't it before that when he like his dark passenger is like screaming at him that he has to feed him?
Yeah, that's when he goes to he takes that one dude without kind of knowing
Yeah,
to the construction site.
he just like goes all in on killing this guy.
Yeah, which he says is weird for him because normally he's like so sure and so careful, and he knows for a fact that like somebody did something wrong before he kills them, because he doesn't just like want to kill random people. He wants to make sure he's doing some good. So yeah, he takes this one
He
guy.
does want to kill random people. He just because like we haven't even talked about like his stepfather that basically taught him
That's
the
right.
appropriate way to kill and like how to get away with it basically because his stepfather was a cop.
Right. He does want to do it, but he tries to keep himself only to killing people who do wrong in the world, basically.
Right.
So yeah, he kidnaps this other guy, takes him to a construction site, and kills him. But he does it. He says it doesn't feel right while he's doing it. Nothing about it feels right.
And he gets interrupted.
Yeah. So none of it feels right. He literally says, even from the way he's cutting this guy up, it doesn't feel right, which is just super bizarre.
Yeah.
And basically, I mean, this is very weird, and I don't know if you got the same vibe from this. Basically, when Dexter goes to kill someone, it's like having sex for him.
Kind of. Yeah.
He literally says while he's cutting them up, this is why he cuts them up slow, because he's building to a release.
Yeah.
That's how it works for him. It literally gives him like chills and goosebumps when he's cutting someone up just right. Like
Yeah.
So like with this time when he kills that guy, it doesn't feel right. And then he gets interrupted by a security guard. So he kind of has to rush, and he like ends up like just slitting this dude's throat, which he is not normally doesn't do.
Yeah. He doesn't like making a mess.
Right. Yeah, because he hates blood. Awful sticky stuff.
Yeah. And there's a reason for that too.
Right. Which I don't want to rush to that because it's like also one of the most amazing endings to a book ever.
Okay, but so there's more stuff happens, but let's cut to what you were talking about before at the hockey rink.
Right. So one of the killings happens at the hockey rink. One of these like bloodless killings happens at this hockey rink. And they catch the killer on a webcam that this guy had set up at the arena. And Deborah is there with Dexter reviewing this footage, and the person in the video looks just like Dexter.
You're right.
So now all of a sudden, Dexter is like, whoa, wait a minute. Have I been doing this in my sleep? Like, because even Dexter is like, man, it does look just like me.
Well, and he'll have these dreams, and then he wakes up at the sink with like blood on his hands.
Right. He wakes up washing blood off his hands, but then he like kind of clears his eyes and it's just water.
Yes.
So he's like, wait a minute. But he thinks that maybe the two visions are like overlaying on top of each other. So yeah, now Dexter thinks he is the one committing these murders.
Right. Right, and so Deb gives him the footage, and she's like, okay, Eve, let's say like she doesn't necessarily think it is him or not him. She's like, I don't know what's going on, Dexter, but like I'm gonna give you till tomorrow, and you tell me what's going on, and I'll see you in the morning.
That's right. She says, I'll come back for this in the morning.
Yeah. And so the next day, like Dexter's just hanging out in his apartment, like really trying to like figure out like if it is him or not. And like the captain calls him. He's like, "Oh, is I need to talk to Deborah." And he's like, "She's not here." He's like, "Well, she's supposed to be there. Like you have some evidence that we need." And he's like, "Well, she never showed up." And so like immediately Dexter knows that the killer took her.
Well, that's partly true because part of him is like, did I
take her
while I was right. Yeah, he's like, I did sleep. He said I took a nap. Did she show up while I was the other me? And did I kidnap her or whatever?
Right.
So, but now Dexter's like, okay, I got to find this guy because he kidnapped my sister. So he has this whole time, he's obviously been having all these weird kind of premonitions. So he's like, I know it's going to be a cold and narrow space. He doesn't know why. That's just a feeling he's got.
He doesn't know why. Yeah.
So the first place he decides he wants to go, he just like gets in his car and just kind of starts driving. And he ends up like over by the shipping yards in Miami. And he's like, it's got to be in there. That's where it's going to be for whatever reason. He knows this. So he's like freaking out because he can't get it in there. And then he finds the refrigerator truck, the one that I kind of glossed over, him getting a head thrown at him. Sorry. That refrigerator truck is there, parked outside this fence to the shipping yard. And out of nowhere, freaking Detective LaGuerta shows up also because she was following him.
Yeah, and she's like on to Dexter. She like knows that
Right.
he's like somehow weirdly linked to all this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she kind of outsmarts him because he's like, I got to find a way to get in there because I think my sister's in there. And LaGuerta's like, did you forget you're a cop?
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, I did kind of
Yeah.
forget that he was a cop. So they go into this shipping yard, and Dexter basically is like, okay, I don't know right where it's going to be at, but he's like, I know it's in here somewhere. He's like, we need to split up and cover more ground. And then he tricks her. He's like, I'll go this way. And she's like, nice try. I'll go that way. And then he basically is like, now that I got LaGuerta to go the way I didn't want to go.
Frickin'
So
dummy.
yeah. So Dexter is kind of wandering around these stacks of shipping containers, and he finds the one that's open, right? It's just kind of like cracked open.
Yeah, and well, he's like drawn to one, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah. And
For
he
some-
goes in this thing, and in like basically in the middle of this thing is Deborah on an operating, like a makeshift operating table. She's taped up and she's like splayed out like he would do if he was going to kill someone. And so he's like, oh man, like part of him thinks, did he do this? Like, did he set this all up? Like it's a really weird thing. It's really messing with him.
Right, but like when he goes in there, he kind of like gets a flashback of like when he was a kid.
Yeah. Which is where it starts to get incredibly dark.
It's so dark.
If it wasn't dark enough already.
Oh my god, it's terrible. Yeah, oof.
So he starts getting these weird flashbacks of his mom in a shipping container like this one with him, but like playing hide and seek with him. And
Yeah, that's how he remembers it.
yeah, and he doesn't quite understand it because he's like, he just has these kind of weird visions of his mom playing hide and seek with him, and some other stuff is off about the vision. And then he kind of comes back to reality, and somebody else is in the shipping container with them, with Dexter and Deborah.
Yeah,
And it's somebody who looks a lot like Dexter.
right. He says, doesn't he say it's like almost looking like in a mirror?
Yes. So this other person comes out, and Dexter says, yeah, it's basically like looking in a mirror. And the first thing that kind of comes to his mind is the word Biney. And the other guy is like, that's right, you remembered. That's what you used to call me because you couldn't say Brian. And basically we find out that this is Dexter's real brother, since Dexter is an adopted child. We find out this is Dexter's real brother, Brian. And Brian has been the one doing the killings, the like Iceman killer this whole time, basically.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to find Dexter.
Well, he was like talking to him.
Yeah. Because he knew Dexter would find him, basically. That's
Right.
how he kind of did. So then we get a few more flashbacks, and the whole thing kind of comes together in Dexter's head that he was sitting in a shipping container. His mom was there, but she was not playing hide and seek. All he could see was her head, because Dexter and his brother were in this shipping container with their chopped up mom and several other chopped up bodies, and they're sitting in like 2 inches of blood.
Yeah, for
in the
3
bottom.
days, right?
For 3 days.
Yeah.
And Dexter was 3 at the time, and Brian was 4 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, kind of like Bo was talking about earlier, the kind of part that we skipped over. Well, I skipped over because I was hurrying. When Dexter was adopted, the one who adopted him was the cop who found him and his brother in this shipping container after this atrocity went down. And basically what had happened is, what did he say? Like his mom was in, their mom was in like the drug, basically it's like a drug deal gone bad.
Yeah, and so people just get chopped up with a chainsaw.
With a chainsaw, apparently. And so the thing is that Harry, Dexter's adopted father, as the cop, he decided to adopt Dexter because he thought that Dexter, being 3 years old, was young enough that he wouldn't remember all this, and it would never come back to him, and this traumatic event wouldn't spark anything like in him to become a killer, which obviously by the story it did.
So wrong.
Right. So Harry basically taught Dexter, like, look, you want to kill things, because Dexter was like killing things when he was little, like the neighbor's dog and like squirrels and cats and like really fucked up little kid. So basically Harry said, eventually you're going to want to try this on a person. He said, and if you do that the way you are now, you will get caught. So Harry, as a cop, essentially instilled in him, if you're going to kill people, make sure you only kill bad people, basically.
Right.
Make sure you're doing some good.
So yeah, he like has a flashback with his brother, and then like when he's talking to his brother, LaGuerta like comes in on them.
Yeah.
And she's like completely ready to shoot Dexter, but like she like gets a shot off and shoots his brother, but his brother's like, because I mean they talk about it a little bit, like they have like almost like superhuman like abilities almost, like Dexter does anyway.
Right.
Like at least when the Dark Passenger's in control, it sounds like.
Right. Super strong. He's super fast.
Yeah. And so
Which
his brother
apparently
freaking stabs her.
Yeah, because apparently Brian is even like, so like through the whole story you're getting that Dexter is just like an insanely good killer, and you find out Brian is even better.
Yeah. He's like the man.
So, yeah.
The murdering man.
Right. So we get this interesting little kind of clip too, because after Brian stabs LaGuerta, Brian wants Dexter to help him. Is it before or after? No, it's before. It's got to be before.
No, it's after. They start talking about it because he comes up and rips the duct tape off her mouth.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So Brian captured Deborah and trussed her up like that because he thought that they could both explore her together.
Yeah, the way he puts that, explore her.
It's so twisted.
It's super twisted. And like Dexter's like gonna do it. He like has the knife raised, but LaGuerta's not quite dead. And so she actually reaches up and like aims the gun at Dexter, and then like before he knows what he's doing, he comes over and he kills her.
So, and I love that part too, because basically it like says she's gonna like shoot again, and then it just like basically like black screen.
Yeah, I love that too. And it's like it's like Dexter's almost like not even really in control at that part, right? Like he doesn't want to kill Deb, but it's like his dark passenger's like, yes, we gotta kill.
So then we jump straight to Dexter's like talking about Deborah, and he's like, oh, Deborah, you were so good. You died so young. You this and that. And we get this like kind of monologue. And so you're like, holy shit, he killed Deborah. And they're at her funeral right now. Because he's like, cop's funeral, see, blah, blah, blah. He's like kind of like monologuing to himself. Well, then it says like, Deborah elbows him in the ribs.
Yeah.
And she's like, would you be quiet? Because he's like mumbling under his breath all these things. So we find out they're not at Deborah, which I'm not going to lie, even this next time around I listened to it, like I couldn't quite remember what happened. But even I was like, oh, he killed her? I forgot that. But yeah, he doesn't kill her.
So as Ryan was going to say, I think he doesn't kill her. He killed LaGuerta, and he's actually at her funeral at the end. And so, yeah, he kills LaGuerta. His brother gets away, or I mean, gets away is a relative term. Like to Dexter, like he wanted him to get away, obviously, but like they didn't. The cops did not end up catching him, and so he gets away. He saves Deborah, and like the book kind of ends on that point. But like LaGuerta's dead. Like he kind of like knows about his past. And like it's pretty solid. I think it ends on a pretty strong note.
Sorry about that. My kids interrupted me again.
That's okay.
So the thing I like about this book is, and I like about this series too, is even though this is a series, each book is a very good standalone story. It doesn't necessarily need one another to. I mean, I would recommend listening to them in order if you were going to listen to the series, but this story by itself stands very well alone.
Yeah, it does.
That's also, I know that I watched enough of the series for that to piss me off that LaGuerta lives in the series and he kills his brother in the series.
Yeah, which makes no sense especially because his brother ends up coming back in the books.
Right, exactly. His brother needs to come back in the book. Plus, it doesn't make any friggin' sense because LaGuerta kind of knows him now and knows what he is a little bit. And so it makes more sense for her to die in the book because it kind of ties up the loose ends. And that's like what he's all about.
Right. Well, she plays a whole different role in the show. Like she's not the same thing as she is in the books, like 'cause she's not as involved with Dexter. She's more involved in like the cop politics and not necessarily like directly, like Dexter's not dealing with her as much directly in the show as he does in the books. The book.
True. The one thing I didn't like about the series too is they essentially smashed this entire book into the very first episode, and then everything after that
it's the first season.
Just
the whole
it's
first
hard.
season is this.
It's almost most of this is in the first episode. I feel like though
the whole first season is
all of it in.
The whole first season is him trying to get trying to chase down the ice truck killer.
Right, but they add in a lot of other fluff shit that wasn't in the book.
Oh yeah, there's tons of like weird storylines don't mean anything, and like there's tons of stuff about Deb that's not in the books, and there's a lot more with his love interest Rita, stuff like that.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, because they add a lot to the Rita story, which is where I think they screw up because in like the book, like Dexter doesn't even like. He got with Rita because Rita was in like a abusive relationship, and so she doesn't even like want to have sex anymore. And Dexter's like, that's perfectly fine for me because who has time for that? Like, so right, that's exactly how he thinks about it. So it's just in the show, it's completely different though. Like they portray it as like, he has too many emotions in the show, basically.
He does.
I mean, Michael C. Hall does a good job, but in the book, Dexter shows like almost no emotion for anything.
He doesn't care.
Right. He just doesn't care because he doesn't even see himself as human.
No,
he literally says, he says multiple times in the book, he's like, something something, or a good fake human like me, basically.
Mm-hmm. So yeah.
I think with that, we will stop beating this carefully dissected horse.
Yeah.
Sorry for all the interruptions in this one, folks. This one was a little off for me, I guess. Kind of like,
So
I don't know. So what are we gonna do next time, Bo?
I think next we should do a roundtable.
Okay. And then we'll
yeah.
be coming up on. We should be coming up on May Audible Originals on the 1st of May, I believe. So, and I think in May we're gonna try to listen to both of the Audible Originals and then do a single episode on both of them.
Yeah, that's the plan.
And it will just be kind of our May Audible Originals coverage. So, and if you hate that idea, please email us and let us know. kotpl.pod@gmail.com, and we would greatly appreciate your hate mail.
Yeah. I would appreciate any mail.
So with that, thank you everyone for listening, and we hope to catch you in the next one.